Hey, good morning guys. It's a beautiful Friday morning out here and it's time to talk about something that we haven't talked about yet, and that is mowers. So this mower right here obviously is an Exmark. This is the, I believe it's the E series. Yeah, it's an E series. So it's sort of the mid-grade. You can get a little bit nicer one than this, but they've also got a more base model than this. I think this one's kind of a mid-grade. This is going to be our 5th season that we're in right now mowing with this one, and my father got this brand new, and we both use it to do all of our mowing every week. So, you know, like all this field out here and around the barn and way over the hill down in there, and there's also a property down the lane where my brother lives that we mow with it, and occasionally we take it up to town to mow some residential yards to help my grandparents, and I've done some mowing with a former neighbor of mine. So basically this thing mows quite a bit of grass. I figured it up one time, and I think that we're mowing about 7 acres per week on average with this mower. So it's definitely had some use in these 5 years that we've had it. So I thought it'd be a good time to do a quick review on it and just let you know how this machine has been. Now, this one's got the 60-inch deck on it, and honestly, there's a lot of places where I would like to have a 72-inch deck. You know, you get out here in these fields and it would just be so much faster if you had the 72-inch deck. But there have been some times when the 60-inch deck has been really nice. Over there, can't see it from here, but these trees way out there that are along the fence on the other side, those are actually my neighbor's trees. She put her fence pretty far off of her property line for some reason, and so there's like a 15-foot strip along the fence over there that I've been maintaining, because I just don't want to see that part grow up right next to my part that I'm mowing. It would look kind of stupid, so I asked her for permission. Of course she said yes, and I've been just mowing that section along the fence. Even though it's her property, I've been mowing that also. Anyway, point is, there's some trees along there, and the 60-inch deck will just barely squeeze between those trees and the fence, and that really cuts down on my weed eating that I have to do. So, you know, you're always going to find situations like that where the 60-inch deck will just get you into places that the 72-inch deck wouldn't. So unless you're just only mowing fields, the 60-inch deck's probably the way to go. Yeah, the 72 would be awesome. It would really knock out the fields quickly, save you a bunch of time, but it is what it is. So anyhow, now when you go to get one of these machines, one of the decisions you got to make is what engine you want. And I think that at the time that my father got this one, there were 3 options. This one is the Kohler, as you can see there. They also had a Kawasaki, and I believe the 3rd option was maybe a Briggs & Stratton built engine. Got some grass here we need to blow off the machine. But anyway, you know, being a lifelong mechanic, he's, you know, pretty much in the know on this stuff, and he talked to the mechanics at the dealership also who work on these things every day. And as I recall, there were some leanings toward the Kohler because the Kawasaki was having some issues. Seems like the mechanics up there at the dealership that work on these things every day, they were kind of hinting that maybe the Kawasaki wouldn't be the one to go with because they had seen some issues with it. I'm sure there's guys out there who have the Kawasaki motors and they're probably having good luck with them, but it seemed like the Kohler was the way to go at the time of this purchase. And I have to say, this engine has been fantastic. We haven't had any trouble with the engine at all. It's mowed a lot of grass, and 5 years in, it's still churning right along. You know, every time I check the oil, it's looking good. It doesn't seem to burn a whole lot of oil or really much at all. Fuel consumption is great, in my opinion, for a gasoline engine. I mean, I can fill this thing up and I can mow all of that, all of my field back here, the front of the property, down there on their property. And we can do all of our mowing on one tank. And this one just has, you know, some of the older ones had 2 tanks, I believe, where you could fill on both sides. This one just has this one fuel fill over here. So I guess it's just got this single tank down there, and it will still go and do the whole property, acres and acres of grass on one fill up. So I think the fuel consumption is awesome. The power is pretty good. The only time it'll lug down is when I'm going up a hill in thick grass, which usually happens like in May and early June, when the weather's finally starting to get really warm, but we're still getting a lot of rain too. You know, the grass tends to thicken up during that time of the year. So if the grass gets thick and I'm pulling up a hill, you can hear the engine kind of lug down a little bit, but it keeps on going. And other than that, it'll really chew through anything, wet grass, dry grass, tall grass, it doesn't care. It'll just chew right through it. So, you know, this Kohler engine, you know, has been pretty awesome so far. The deck, it does a good job, but you probably see we keep the grass chute in the up position like that all the time. It helps to discharge in a more even fashion, so it prevents clumping of the grass, you know. So when the grass comes out of here, it just kind of blows all over the place, you know, and you get clippings everywhere instead of just laying down like a row, you know. So basically we just do that for the purpose of keeping it from clumping up, pretty much. It just throws it out more efficiently, and it helps the blades to keep on moving through good. Now, let's talk about some of the issues that we've had. It's been minor stuff in the 5 years that we've been using this thing. The PTO switch failed and was replaced under warranty. I think that the other thing that was replaced under warranty, the brake hardware came loose. Don't know what was up with that. Maybe it just wasn't tight from the factory, but it finally came loose, and it sort of drastically reduced the drive ability. So the tires were kind of jerking and herking, you know, acting funny, and so I took it up there to the dealer, and they looked at it, and it turns out it was the brake hardware in there. So that was taken care of under warranty as well. Let's see, the ignition switch, there was, you know, it's basically just like the electronic stuff up here, pretty much, kind of acting funny. But, you know, as far as the hydros, the engine, the deck, you know, the main parts of the mower, we haven't had any trouble with it at all. It's been pretty good. Now, this one has the suspension seat on there, which is really dirty. But you can see how you can dial this into the weight of the operator. And let me tell you something, that really makes a big difference, because even with that, this mower will beat the crap out of you. I mean, it will just absolutely beat you to death. So if you didn't have the suspension seat, I don't know how a guy could use one of these. I mean, you've got these hard tires on the front that are small, a relatively small tire on the back, a lot of weight up front. You know, it's very not proportional the way the weight is in these machines, and so it just makes for a rough ride. It'll beat the crap out of you. So that suspension seat is definitely a must-have if you're going to mow significant acreage with one of these things, and it does make a huge difference. I have kind of learned where the rough spots are, and when I get to those spots in the field, I slow down a little bit. But that suspension seat is pretty awesome. Now, one of the other things that we were told, I think it was in the second year that we were using this machine, it was at the dealership for service, and they said that the deck was bent. Now, I don't know how in the world you bend one of these decks. I mean, you can see these things are made out of really heavy duty plate steel. I mean, these are like commercial grade mowing decks, you know, and it's not like we're out here jumping it or bashing it into trees. So I have no idea how you bend one of those. And it never did show any signs of mowing irregularly or, you know, leaving a funny cut in the grass or anything. So I don't know what that was about, but they said that the deck was bent. Who knows? Seems to be okay to me, but that was the other thing that they, I guess you could say it went wrong, even though it didn't really go wrong because it didn't really affect us any. But yeah, I mean, the mower has been a good mower overall. You know, the thing about these machines is they're a one-trick pony. They're really expensive. You pay a lot of money for a machine that can only do one job, and that kind of hurts. That's a tough pill to swallow. But when it comes to mowing grass, you're really not going to find anything better than this. I mean, you can hit a field like this, just an open field with a tractor, and knock it out pretty quick. But if you're trying to do, you know, like around a house or trees or fences or whatever with a tractor and a finish mower, it starts to really slow you down. And with something like this, you don't have to slow down. You can just keep on rolling. It's really quick and nimble and maneuverable. And it really does shave a lot of time off of our mowing out here. So yeah, it's expensive, but it's a great machine. And I think when we got this one, the idea was if you go ahead and spend the extra money to get a commercial grade machine, even if you're not going to use it commercially, even if you're just using it for your personal property, if you get a commercial grade one like this, it'll last you for, you know, maybe 15 or 20 years. So in the long run, you end up saving money. That's the idea here. And I've got to say the Exmark Lazer Z has been a pretty good machine so far. It is kind of neat how you can see your adjustments over here. You can adjust the mowing deck in 1/4 inch increments, everywhere from say 1 inch all the way up to 5.5 inches. So that's pretty cool. I like that, nice feature. Obviously you get your foot pedal here to raise the deck up and down. Right now it's in the locked position for transport, but you just use your foot to push the deck up and take the pressure off of this pin, and then you can move the pin over to the unlocked position. And then when you let the pedal, release the pedal, it'll let the deck go down to whatever you select there. So that's pretty handy, really quick, easy way to go about doing it. You know, the fill port's over here, so it's easy to get to. You can stand right here at the side of the machine and fill it up. You don't have to lean over anything, which is nice. Do have a cup holder there, and I don't know exactly what that's for. Maybe tools or gloves or sunglasses, a hat, cell phone, whatever you wanted to put in there, I guess. Over on this side, got your key switch, PTO, throttle. That's your choke up there. Now these have a digital fuel gauge on them and an hour meter, and it looks like we're coming up on 408 hours. So pretty much the basics there. Got armrests, which you can fold up out of the way if you want to. It's a nice, well padded seat, as you can see. Lots of padding. Like I said, it's a suspension seat. I'm sure this seat is probably very, very expensive, but it really saves your back and your neck and everything else, because like I said earlier, these machines will beat you to death. Got your seat belt for safety, roll bar, which we keep down all the time, because here's the thing about the roll bar on these machines. Like I was mentioning a little while ago, the weight distribution is really kind of weird on these. And if you've got this in the up position and you go underneath of a tree, like for example, that tree right there, I mow around that tree. But if this was up and I tried to go under that tree, the roll bar would catch up in the branches and it would tip the machine up. And obviously this is behind your head or up above your head, so you can't see it and you're not really all that aware of it. And so sometimes it'll clip a tree without you even knowing that it's getting ready to happen. So to be honest, if you're mowing just a flat or a relatively flat piece of land with trees and things around, I feel like it's safer to put this down. Because I mean, this thing, if you're going along, you can turn this machine up, I mean, just in a flat second. So we always leave that down. You know, if I was gonna go mow a hillside, I would put it up, but for the most part, it always stays down. Maintenance is pretty easy. You can buy maintenance kits at the dealership. You can see the oil filter there. This hose here is for your oil drain. You can just flop that hose over here where you want it and drain the oil out of the machine. You can see your oil fill right there. Air filter's a piece of cake to get to, so they make maintenance pretty easy. Again, these are commercial grade machines, so they build them to where they're easy for guys who are using these things to make money with. Easy to keep them going, keep them on the yard, you know. You see your fills over here for your hydros. So, oh, and then there's some fuses right in there as well that are easy to get to. So that's pretty much it. Exmark Lazer Z. All in all, like I said, good machine. 5 years in. You can see it's filthy. It's got wear and tear on it, but it still just keeps on going and cutting grass, and hopefully we'll get another 10 or 15 years out of this thing. And it even comes down to the little things. Notice right here how you have a tie down. You've got one of those on both of the rear corners, and they also put them up here in the front corner. So like for example, today I'm getting ready to load the machine on the trailer and take it to town to mow my grandparents' yard with it for them. This makes it so quick and easy and gives you a good place to put your tie straps onto. So you're not having to wrap tie straps around parts and pieces on the tractor or the mower, I mean. You know, it's just real handy to throw your hook on there, strap it down and go. Again, they had the commercial guys in mind when they do this kind of stuff, but it really helps out the, you know, the personal property owners too. Yeah, I have to say that, you know, when I was growing up, we always had the little lawn tractors, what we call a riding mower. That's what we had growing up. So I just kind of got used to those, mowing, you know, half-acre, quarter-acre lots with them. You know, and you would sometimes spend a pretty good amount of time doing a half-acre lot with one of those, especially if you had trees and things. If you started doing an acre or 2 acres with them, then it really takes some time. This machine right here will absolutely fly through something like that. You go up to town and do a residential yard with something like this, I mean, you're talking 5 minutes and you're done. It's just amazing how much faster it is than a riding mower because it's just so much more maneuverable for one thing, and it's got enough power that you can just blow through the grass no matter how tall it is or if it's wet. You don't have to necessarily wait. You know, there's some guys that use these things commercially and they've got accounts lined up and they have to stay on schedule, you know, so they can't always wait for a sunny and 70-degree day. You know, it might be 55 and raining a little bit, and they still have to get out there and mow because they got to stay on schedule, you know, and something like this has the power to do it, you know, so without destroying the grass, you know, and clumping everything up. So, you know, it really is a nice machine. Probably the most useful machine that we've got around here, to be honest. Seems like we're always on this thing, especially this time of the year. But I know there's a lot of different brands out there. The Exmark seems to be one of the top brands. And, you know, again, I can't really complain about it. We've had pretty good luck with it so far. So if you've got any questions about it, let me know in the comments below. But there's a look at the Exmark Lazer Z. Hopefully it'll help somebody out. Thanks for watching.